Kia ora and welcome to this episode of The Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of Aotearoa, New Zealand. My co-host is Rachel Pilwa.
Hello.
Today we're discussing Chapter 9 of Emma by Jane Austen. In Chapter 9, Mr Elton writes a charade, and the Knightleys are spoken of as visiting soon.
The anticipation of the upcoming family visit.
So Emma's like, Mr Knightley was wrong. I'm so right. I mean, I don't like that he's not happy with me, but I'm so right.
When you'd rather be right than please people, honestly, is that a bad trait? But is she right? If she was actually right, I'd be like, yeah.
The picture is pretty easily dismissed. It's hung over the mantelpiece of the common sitting room. Then it's just kind of disappeared in that one paragraph after such a big deal is made of it.
It covered like 2 chapters, the picture happening and then the discussing of him going and getting it framed.
And it's like, oh, by the way, he came back and it got hung. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't think it's mentioned again. It wasn't that good of a picture. And I'm like, well, actually, it probably was quite good a picture. Would it be the first painting that Harriet's ever had of herself?
Definitely. She's never had a painting done, and it's the first picture Emma's fully completed of another person.
That's a big deal for both of them, really. Taking out the whole, it was done to kind of Mr Elton. Completing an art project? Impressive. Something I'm not very good at doing.
See, Emma can do shit. She just needs the motivation. But having said that, in this chapter, she talks about her views of improving her little friend's mind, which is such a condescending thing.
Yeah.
Different meaning of condescending than they have in the book. No, they're going to read together and have conversations and expand her mind. But it's much more fun to just chat and think about how much money that Harriet might have and how she can marry her off to Mr Elton. And this is exactly what Mr Knightley said would happen. She writes such great lists of books she's going to read and I'm so impressed, and he just knows her so well.
That's really great you wrote that list. She's never going to read it, but...
It is a good list.
He's like, what a good list. Great idea to read all of those books.
Project that she and Harriet are working on is, I think, the most hilarious thing. Instead of working on something intellectual, mind expanding, or helping her step more into a better class, they're making a little book of little charades, which we would call riddles. She also calls it riddles.
I assume the words in this time frame are pretty interchangeable between charades and riddles. Our version of charades now is just kind of miming and guessing and things like that.
It's a movie. 2 words. First word.
Yeah.
The. But Harriet's Maid, the book herself, by the sounds of thing, made up by her friend and ornamented with ciphers and trophies, which I assume is like cute little things. Like you put stickers and stuff now?
Oh my god. Did she just put like bedazzled stickers on something? Can you imagine?
Harriet would love stickers.
She'd be like really into like the big puffy stickers, I think.
I mean, I like the concept of stickers, but I don't like things to be cluttered, and I'm worried that I will put it in the wrong place.
That was what I was going to say. Is I'm like, I love stickers and I don't mind clutter, but I want things to be placed correctly and like exactly. And I'm like, I'd just be reshuffling it until I got it in the exact right spot. But even then, I'd probably change my mind and then be like, oh no, I want this thing here instead. And then I'd have to take everything down and then I can't reuse those stickers anymore. So
no, it's a problem.
It's a problem. Stickers pose almost more problems than they solve. Do they solve any problems?
I don't know.
They bring joy.
The ones on cars that let people know that you're...
Bumper stickers.
Bumper stickers. There's stickers still.
I voted for...
You're like, cool, avoid that car.
Yeah.
Or hit that car.
Hit that car. Yeah.
Oh, baby on board. Oh, good. We'll try it. We won't rearrange you.
I learned recently that baby on board stickers are because if there is a crash and there's an emergency, like then EMTs, rescues and all stuff, and if the baby's potentially been ejected from the car, that they know they're looking for another person.
Wow.
Yeah. I had never thought about that.
But yeah, they're little projectile.
It's to know that there was a baby. Look for a baby.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
At least they bounce, right? That's the whole thing about babies.
I don't know if that's...
People are always like, they bounce. It's fine.
Depends where you drop them.
I'm pretty sure Austen's making a joke. She's like, in this age of literature, such collections on a very grand scale are not uncommon. Yeah, in this age of literature, lots of women will collect little sayings. The head teacher at Harriet's school has got at least 300. And Harriet's like, I bet I can get more.
This is Austen kind of given a dig at the publishing industry in her time, I think, and what's coming out, especially probably things by women. They're not like there would be very much at all. I bet a lot of women probably weren't being allowed to publish intellectual things, at least not under their own names. Her being like, oh, all of this drivel.
I mean, it's not even their own words. They're coughing down other people's.
Yeah, because they're all collections of things. They're not made up by these people.
I guess it's easier for evening parties than reading an entire novel, and you've got people around that aren't there all the time. Short, and then you can discuss it.
It probably would have been more like playing a game. We play charades now as kind of like a card game. Guess what I am, and what's the meaning of this? You would stand up, you'd say it, and then the people around you would have to guess what the meaning was.
I was thinking it might also be a bit like a mixtape.
In what way?
That there's things that you've collected from all these different places to entertain in one place.
Okay.
No, pushing it too far.
I don't know if mixtape's the word. My brain went anthology. That's the bookseller in me.
Words, not music.
Yeah, words, not music. What would they put on a mixtape in this time? Like, it'd be like a various like classical things.
Well, yeah, because everything's classical, right?
I would love to go back in time and show them like a mixtape of current music.
I'd be covering their ears and be like, what is this noise? If you listen to classical before we got like into rock and stuff, some of it sounds like rock. Some of it sounds like metal. Things are going that way. This is what people like. And it's so weird for your brain to be like, this is classical music. You expect it to sound a certain way?
Which is why it always gets me when watching British shows. They have like pop songs that they've done in a classical style.
I love that they've done that.
I love that so much. But I ended up, after the most recent season, listening to like a piano version of Barbie Girl by Aqua. Would this work in the setting of this time frame? And I'm like, actually, yeah, it really would. And I feel like you could easily do some kind of dance to it.
Well, also because they're just making up the dances as well.
Yeah. How does everybody know the dances? Did they practice?
I mean, you all get trained by the same dancing teacher. Someone will come from London or whatever to the village and they'll have probably like public lessons, but then there'll also be like the rich houses. They come to teach them private there. Then there'd be like a general consensus of these are the dances that we know. The one in the 95 Pride and Prejudice, it's called Mr Something's Maggot.
What?
Yeah. We don't get to see that stuff because I want to be all clean. Everybody just goes up and knows the dance magically. They're pretty sure they'd have callers and say this next song is this if they didn't have it on their tickets. Some dances now like square dancing and there's still some sort of line dancing going on. More like the country dancing that they did in Austen's time. And they'll often like yell out the things you're meant to be doing.
Okay, that's quite smart. You know, having to learn how to entertain yourself in that time. It's not like they had YouTube to teach you how to do it in a video.
You'd end up doing it in the evenings with your siblings, because what else are you going to do?
Can't all just sit around reading and practice your dancing.
Also, because you'd need quite a lot of candles to be able to read well, which is expensive. So that's why maybe one person would read to everybody. So what are you going to do? Something you don't need to see quite as well to do.
How did most people like kind of have light in the evenings apart from candles? Was like, would they have like a fire? Most places have like a fireplace and like.
Oh yeah, you'd have to because
you have to have a fireplace for heat. But
and
like in summer, say it was quite a warm night in summer, would you still have to have a fireplace so that you had light, like enough light in the room?
It's lighter in the evenings. In summer. We know that Mr Woodhouse still has a fire in summer because Mr Knightley gets annoyed at it. But yeah, you'd have candles and you'd have fire. That's about it.
That's it.
Because oil doesn't come in for a while yet to have lamps.
To be a candle maker in this time would have been a pretty lucrative business.
I don't know, because everybody used them. They're probably pretty cheap.
That's true.
I'm just surprised there weren't more house fires. Probably more now, and we have to be more cautious now because we're not accustomed to it.
While we don't use open flame quite as much, there's so many more like electrical fires and things like that, which are much harder to notice starting.
Particularly if they happen in the walls.
Yeah.
Mr Woodhouse, adorably, is real into this, and he keeps trying to tell them a poem that they've already got in there about Kitty, a fair but frozen maid, which I remember reading ages ago, apparently is potentially like a dirty thing.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. I probably should have looked it up before saying anything. And he even asked his good friend Perry for his help. But it's kind of sad that Mr. Woodhouse's friend, kind of his best friend, is someone he pays to be his friend. And you could argue that his wee social circle, who spend evenings with him, he doesn't technically pay them, but they're all lesser than him and might struggle financially, and he feeds them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all people who feel obligated.
Also, to be polite, I feel humans are very adept, if they really don't want to do something, coming up with some sort of excuse not to do it.
Oh, the evenings are so very cold.
Yeah, it's far too cold to come out tonight, Mr. Woodhouse. And he'd be like, oh, very right, so yes, do not come. It's just far too cold for you to be out of your house. He would be
true.
The most accepting character. If you could give him any excuse of like a turn of the weather or...
I have a wee cough. Stay away from me.
Yeah, exactly. And he would be totally happy. He'd be like cancelling the whole party.
There's a bit of a cough going around, no one's allowed to come. Whereas these days, people aren't very good at accepting excuses or no's. One time at a Christmas party at work, and they had this like photo booth, and I didn't want to do it. One of my co-workers just kept asking, and eventually you have to be rude because they keep asking. They don't realise that they're being rude. They're like, hey, I'm just being fun. You're like, no, I have said no, and I sound like an asshole.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, wow, you didn't have to be so rude.
How many times do I have to say no?
Politely. People don't take the hint. They don't take the original answer until you be rude and firm. And our form of communication, I think, is, especially with technology, has changed so much. It's so much harder to say it outright to someone's face because we're so used to messaging and stuff like that, where it's much easier to do it from a screen than it is to have that face-to-face conversation.
I prefer honesty. Being autistic, struggle with communication. Recently, an autistic friend and I had a disagreement about something and we sorted it. Well, I thought we'd sorted it, and then she emailed me later and was like, because we were going to do something else, she's like, I'm really uncomfortable because things aren't good between us. And I was like, no, they are. We talked about it and we're good. And then she emailed back and said, oh, I'm used to people telling me that we've sorted things and things are good and they're actually still angry at me. Nope. Apparently that's a thing that neurotypicals do. They're like, everything's fine. And they hate you.
Just tell me. If you're still mad, just tell me.
So then I can fix it.
Yeah.
Or
understand
give you
that.
space.
Yeah. Or apologise. Or, whatever it was. Communication.
With all the technology that we have, we're still not great at communication.
Yeah. It's the human issue. Humans just don't want to communicate.
We're not very good at it.
We developed all these ways to do it and we still suck.
This chapter's a really good example of that, right? Because Mr. Elton brings a charade that he's written, he's pretending a friend wrote it, gives it to Emma, and Emma's like, this is fully for Harriet.
So many different miscommunications. Emma knows he's written this. He's saying it's from a friend, but it's from him. Whereas I feel like Harriet is just like, oh, his friend is very clever.
Harriet takes things at face value.
Harriet takes things at face value. He's written this for Emma, and Emma is like, this is for Harriet, obviously. Harriet takes what Emma says at face value. Harriet would have just been like, oh, his friend wrote a very pretty verse, until Emma said, no, Mr. Elton wrote it for you.
And also Harriet cannot get what it's about. Emma reads it once and is like, oh yeah, read it again to make sure she was right. Okay, and Harriet's like, I have no idea. Is it a mermaid?
Yeah.
Or a shark?
He's too smart for me, I don't know.
I wouldn't have got it, but then also we don't talk like this anymore. I'd like to think if it was in one language, I might be able to get it.
Even in a more modern context, I think this one would have gone over my head as well. I would have been like, what?
My first displays the wealth and pomp of kings, lords of the earth, their luxury and ease. So the first syllable is court, wealth and pomp of kings, luxury and ease. The second syllable, another view of man my second brings, second syllable, behold him there, the monarch of the seas, which is shit, because men have conquered the sea, or so they stupidly think.
That's where I go into Harriet's mode. It's like, monarch of the sea, and my mind goes, Poseidon? Triton?
Neptune? Poseidon?
Which one are we going with? But that's where my brain goes.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm also like, shark. Could be shark.
Top of the food chain, shark.
Court shark.
Court shark.
Court shark.
The second stanza is about joining them together. But united, what reverse we have. Man's boasted power and freedom all are flown. Men are not kings and men are not monarchs of the seas. Oh, now I get why he said monarch of the seas, because he's talking about kings. I missed that. Anyway, Lord of the earth and sea, he bends a slave, and woman, lovely woman, reigns alone. And the only area where women have any kind of power is in the point of refusal, when a man either proposes or asks them to dance. If we're looking at him bending a slave, potentially that's I don't know if they did the on-the-knee proposals during this period, though.
Yeah, I don't know when that would have started.
Lord of the earth and sea, that's really lovely. Like, we're talking about kings and we're talking about ships and how men have conquered these things, but cannot really conquer women.
Yeah.
True. Gotta say. Courtship. And in courtship, woman reigns. She has more power than a man. In theory. And then the final couplet, not a full stanza. Thy ready wit the word will soon supply. May its approval beam in that soft eye. You're smart. You're going to figure this one out. And then you're going to tell me by a look that you approve of my courtship.
See, even though I've read this book, my brain still was like, I don't remember what this means. And we're reading it and I'm like, I have no clue what he's talking about.
I don't think I've ever read it aloud, so I'm picking up so much stuff that I hadn't before.
Yeah, the whole monarch and king thing is something that's flown by me.
Emma, they're really wet. Okay. Harriet's not that smart, man, but whatever.
Such a mean thing to think. Why?
Your best friend and you think she's stupid. I mean, she kind of is.
She's so much more naive. And the only reason I think she seems stupid is because, comparative to Emma, the thought anyone could think that Harriet was witty is mind-boggling. She just doesn't understand how anybody could think Harriet's got any kind of wit.
But pretty girls don't need a brain.
No.
She's pretty, that's what she needs.
Then Emma doesn't need a brain either.
But she's not as pretty as Harriet.
No. But going back to just before they get given this charade, talks about Mr Elton's speech. He's talking, he says, I do not offer it for Miss Smith's collection. Being my friends, I have no right to expose it in any degree to the public eye, but perhaps you may not dislike looking at it. And it's like him kind of saying, like, don't tell everybody else I'm courting you. Because if everybody else read it, and if they knew it came from Mr Elton, they'd be like, that's a bit of an inappropriate thing to give to these young ladies, and might be able to figure it out on their own of who he's referring to. I think Mr Knightley, if he had read that, would have been like, bastards moving in on Emma. Emma's next line is like, the speech was more to Emma than to Harriet, which she could understand. There was a deep consciousness about him, and he found it easier to meet her eye than her friends. Emma, he's making direct eye contact with you while talking about this romantic poem. Eye contact normally means, like, that's the person you're talking to. That's the person your intentions are towards. And she's just like, oh, he can't look Harriet in the eye because he just likes her so much, so he's got to look at me instead. And I'm just like, girl, how many forms of communication can this guy do before you get it?
The willfulness of continuing on what you want to believe. Like flat earthers.
I read something the other day where these guys bought this, like, these flat earther little group. They were like, oh, no, we're going to prove it once and for all. And so they got this, I don't know, it was kind of like this thing that you can get and it, like, shoots a beam of light. And you set it up a pretty far distance away from a particular target. And if the Earth is curved, then it shouldn't hit it exactly. It should hit it like slightly below because of the curve of the Earth. But if it hits exactly, it's going to be flat. And they're like, well, of course it's going to hit it exactly. And then it doesn't. So they don't accept that result. And they keep going. And after like 5 years of every experiment they're doing, proving that the Earth isn't flat, they're just like, all of this technology is faulty. Guys, you proved the opposite of your point and you just can't accept that it's wrong. Head in the sand.
Emma can't see any of this because she's saying what she wants to say.
Yeah.
And maybe those guys differently are like, I just don't want to believe, so we're just going to, the only reasonable explanation is that tech is wrong. Mr. Elton turns up at the end of the chapter and is like, should I come this evening to your father's party? 'Cause my friend Cole wants to see me, but I can come here and see you instead. He's saying, do you want me here? Are you accepting this courtship? And she is basically saying, yeah, she doesn't care. It's cool. He can go hang out with Mr. Cole.
Thanks for thinking of me, but go hang out with your friend instead. Don't disappoint him.
It's another charade going on, this conversation that they're having, because they cannot speak flat out. He cannot say, I wrote this poem for you. Do you accept? Do you want me to come back? He's like, should I go and see Cole? She's like, don't worry about it. Go see him. We don't care. He re-urged and she re-declined. And then he goes to take the paper and she gives it to him and is like, thank you so much. We put it in the book. And he's like, I don't understand what's happening right now. And he looks really confused because Emma's giving him these contrary signals. Don't come. We're not interested. But also, we totally wrote down your charade and we really liked it. What?
And because that obviously means that if they liked it, well, they must have understood the meaning. And then gone, no, I don't care. I don't want to see you. Bye. Can you imagine if someone did this to you and they're just like, oh yeah, I absolutely really love this. It's beautiful. Like, you make something for them. You're like, oh, I absolutely really love that thing. Yeah, no, go away. Get out.
I mean, you could just like someone for things that they give you, like, oh, you want to bake for me? You can continue to bake for me. I don't want to hang out with you though. I don't know.
I would be actually if I was Mr. Elton's friend and he was telling me about this, I'd be like, dude, cut her off. Like, get away from her. Like, she's like, you're giving and she's not taking, and it's like, it's not even her rejecting. It's just you're doing like all this stuff and they're not reciprocating. Just cut her out.
You went to London to get the picture framed. What'd she do for you?
Yeah.
And then at the
she's using you, sir.
The very end of the chapter, Emma's like, oh, thank God he's gone. He's really annoying. And she laughs about him.
I mean, I do agree with that sentiment as well. He tries, but he tries too hard.
He does.
And I think if he had actually set his eye on Harriet and not Emma, and he was doing all this stuff towards Harriet, it would be seen as incredibly sweet. It would have been much nicer. Or at least sweeter.
I don't know. A man being attracted to a woman for her money or her looks, which is better?
That's true. But I think also in this time it's so much harder to get to know someone for their personality. You're different when you're around different people and in different settings. Any kind of courtship is going to be different than the real thing when it's just the two of you alone. You do kind of have to go on what's easily acknowledgeable, which is, sadly, money and looks. He's got ill intentions. Or at least, not ill intentions, but...
I don't think he has any real affection for Emma.
He has affection for the status she can give him.
Yeah, and maybe he's a little flattered because she is above him, though he's not willing to see it.
With it being such a small place, Hyrie, is that it's like, even though there is this class divide between Emma and Elton, he's still above many others because of his role, that he's mingling in the same society as her, that he probably has this overinflated sense of his own class or ego.
Like Mr. Collins.
Of Mr. Collins, because Mr. Collins always around Lady Catherine, because he's always associating with her. He sees himself as better than the Bennets, he sees himself as better than so many other people. I bet if he was in a room with other people of his same exact job, he would see himself as better because of who he associates with. And I feel like it would be the same with Mr. Elton.
Even though the Bennets are literally landed gentry and Mr. Collins has no land.
Because he's going to inherit that land. He's like...
Equal.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're above me now. When he dies, I'm going to be above all of you.
And kick it all out.
And kick you all out. Although he never actually says that intention to kick them out. And I feel like when he marries Charlotte, like Charlotte wouldn't let him.
I don't think so either.
No, Charlotte would be like, what would you do with the land? You would want us to move there away from Lady Catherine? Could never leave Lady Catherine.
In one of the continuations of Pride and Prejudice that I read, that's basically what happened. Although I think it was Mary who suggested, so it must have been one of the books that was based around Mary, that Mary's like, maybe Mr. Collins doesn't want to leave Lady Catherine, so my mum could stay in her house for a bit longer.
At the end of the book, when Emma and Knightley get together, Emma's like, well, I couldn't leave my father. And Knightley very caringly moves in with them instead of having Emma move in so that they can continue to take care of Mr. Woodhouse together. Mr. Elton probably wouldn't want to do that because he would want to be the man of the house and have control, but he would also really like to live at Hartfield and have this nice big fancy house. And I think that would add to the already inflated sense of self that he has. He wouldn't necessarily expect it straight off while courting that he would end up living there.
He would expect to move Emma into the parsonage, which No.
Which is crazy.
She's not a fan of that house, we find out in a
In the
later
next
chapter.
chapter.
The audacity of him thinking that he could move her out of this beautiful home. Emma says, I think probably in the same chapter, that few men would allow her to be as mistress of their homes, as a wife, as she is of her father's. I'm like, yeah. I feel like Mr Elton might have a bit of a power play thing, not in a good way.
I wish we knew a little bit more about the courtship with Mr Elton and Mrs Elton.
We only hear it from them, which could all be lies that they're just telling so it sounds really good.
Yeah, because I think they both always want to seem like they're the best.
I mean, that's kind of why their marriage works, though, because she was like, I need to get married, presumably. And he's like, so do I, because we need to tell everybody else that we're so great and people love us.
Yeah.
We love each other.
They're both very narcissistic. Actually, Mr. Elton is a narcissist, or at least has narcissistic tendencies, because he is so much about what he wants and what he thinks. He doesn't really think about
men, though. Like, they haven't been raised to think about other people, especially women. Women often don't even count as people.
Yeah.
They're these mysterious creatures.
It's like a fairy. How will we ever understand these strange beings? And honestly, as a queer person, I totally get that. How will I ever understand women?
Back to that, we can't talk to women.
We can't talk to girls.
Harriet. Imagine this being written for me. Dear me. She says dear me all the time, or oh dear all the time. Mm-hmm. And the best line, whatever you say is always right. So true, though. Anything Emma says, she just accepts it.
Emma could tell her the earth was flat and Harriet wouldn't believe it.
Yes.
She takes Emma's word as gospel. It just makes me want to
shake her.
Just get her as far away from Emma as possible and put her in a room and be like, honey, no, this is not healthy.
But I think Emma sees that, and that's why she's concerned about the Martins, because Harriet's so easily led. She's worried that the Martins are leading her into something bad. Yeah, we can see it from a different perspective, and Emma's just a snobby bitch.
Yeah.
But also she recognises Harriet's easily led. She's met these people. She feels obliged to them. I don't want her getting stuck in a marriage. And she tries not to make decisions for Harriet. However, she just has too much power over Harriet.
She's not making the decision for her. She's making a suggestion on the decision she should make. And then Harriet's like, well, that's the best suggestion I've ever heard. I will 100% go with what you just told me.
Technically, Emma hasn't told her to do anything.
Technically, that was Harriet's choice.
Emma says that the charade will be soon followed by matter-of-fact prose, which I think is a play on the word prose, as in it won't be poetry. It will be prose, but also prose kind of sounds like proposal.
Yeah.
Here is a thing saying, I want to court you. Do you accept? Next step would be a proposal.
Potentially, or prose, as in, here's a letter of, confirmed affection, saying it plainly instead of beating around the bush, which is what they've been doing this entire time.
Yeah, if people actually just spoke to each other, but it continues now. People still don't talk to each other, and that's one of the really annoying things when you're reading romance. They can't be together because of reasons, and if they just talk to each other.
So many books, so many TV shows, so many movies, and I'm like, everything could be solved if you all just talk to each other, please. The one that always comes to mind is Stranger Things, and I don't know if you've seen Stranger Things, but there's the second season, I think. Literally, everybody has all of the information about what's happening, except they're all split into 3 or 4 separate groups, and none of them are communicating. They see each other, but none of them tell each other what's going on. And I'm like, you guys could have solved this issue before it became an issue if you just talked. And it's one of the things that drives me nuts in media. That whole, but we've got to keep the drama going. And I'm like, no.
I find it really frustrating. And my life is so much less dramatic when I just tell people what I think, or if I'm getting inconsistent things from people, I just don't communicate with them anymore.
Yeah. Just tell people what you mean.
You can say what you mean and not be mean. If someone's got a haircut and you don't like it, just actually saying, you got a haircut. They hear, I'd like your hair. Yeah. You didn't even say that, but it's okay that they think that, and you don't have to tell them that you don't like it and upset them.
Yeah. They're like, hair.
And Harriet's quietly going, it's all good to write a good letter, to say it in a short way, but it's very different to write verses and charades. And I'm like, you know what's actually more useful than writing a letter?
Yeah.
That's actually more useful, and short better than long. Actually, can you get to the point? In a letter for Harriet, she understood what Mr. Martin was saying. She did not understand what Mr. Elton was saying.
It's a difference of how Mr. Martin knows Harriet so well. She wouldn't understand all the flowery prose. He's like, no, he's a straight-laced guy. She's I don't want to say it, unwitty girl. But he knows that she wouldn't understand if he didn't just plainly come out and say what he meant. And I really love that he kind of knows that about her. Like, he doesn't try and go for this big, fancy rigmarole of words. He's just like, I like you. I hope you like me. Let's get married.
That's all you need to say.
So much more effective reading this charade, and I'm like, I don't get any of it. And I'm like, what? As a bookseller and as someone who loves literature, I have so much respect for poets and poetry and verse, because I think it's like, it can be quite difficult to get that flow and get that tone and say what you mean without being straight. I do think there is a beauty and quality to it. It's not for me though. I very rarely read poetry because my brain is just like, no, I need to be spoon-fed this information, please. Like your words, super pretty, really lovely. I don't understand a word you just said. There's some really amazing work, and it's like, actually, that charade, I'm quite impressed to be able to make up that riddle, to be able to say what you're meaning in this kind of way. But
do we think Mr. Elton wrote it? Do we think he found it or got someone else to write it for him?
That's actually a really good question. I feel like he could have gone either way. Well, I have to wonder, because of his personality, would he actually put in enough effort for wooing Emma in order to write it himself?
That's what I'm thinking. Also, the lovely woman reigns alone.
He probably doesn't think that.
No.
I could see him writing it in order to try and woo her. I think he likes the idea of her enough. He wants her money and power enough that he could have written it in order to try. But I think it's just unlikely that he would put in that much effort to woo a woman.
Well, he's never had to put in effort because he's handsome.
Yeah.
And all the girls in Highbury chase him.
I hate that he has that. Every physical portrayal we've seen of Mr. Elton in, movies and TV shows and stuff, I very rarely find at least most of the actors they cast, I don't find particularly attractive. I feel like maybe even if they do cast someone attractive, I just wouldn't, knowing Mr. Elton's character, it would just be such a turn off. Ew, gross.
It's a casting choice.
Casting choices. But I feel like they very rarely do cast someone who is like properly good looking.
It's the same with Harriet. Like, they never make her prettier than Emma, even though she's supposed to be, because that's not how you see her.
Yeah.
You don't see Mr. Elton as attractive, even though he specifically has said that he is.
He is supposed to be very handsome. Pride and Prejudice is one where, at least like with Jane and Elizabeth, Jane is supposed to be the most beautiful. So
it's always Lizzie,
but
right?
sometimes, half the time it is Lizzie, most of the time. That is something I will say for the 2005 Pride and Prejudice, is that I think Keira Knightley is absolutely stunning in every way, but Rosamund Pike, she steals the breath.
Something ethereal about her.
Actually, it's probably a nearly perfect casting for me. And that could just be that I am nostalgic and it was my very first kind of foray into the world of Austen.
Thank you for making me feel old.
I'm sorry. But I feel like maybe it's to make it easier for the masses to kind of understand, like, normally the most attractive person on screen is the person who you're following. Like the protagonist or the main couple or whatever. But actually, people want a story. Like, and that's the thing I hate about kind of Hollywood and that, is that they're always trying to give you a story about attractive people. It's very...
Not everybody is that beautiful. And Jane Fairfax, also prettier than Emma.
Like, supposed to be stunning.
But then, they're like stealing the scene and you can't focus on the main character. You're like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point.
That's the point. It's like why Emma doesn't like Jane, is because Jane is this person who does steal this spotlight from Emma.
She's prettier. She's more accomplished.
I feel like anytime I think about Jane Fairfax, I always just think of her as this small, quiet, mousy character who's just this very plain Jane kind of person.
Because
that's how she's always portrayed.
Because she's reserved, therefore she must be mousy. No.
And it's always, I always, like, you know, mousy brown hair. That's always what I think. I never think of a woman who's very beautiful in her own right, who's just quiet and always just like, I don't know.
Did you know that Lady Featherington is Jane Fairfax?
What? Oh my god. I hadn't made that connection at all. She looks so different.
She does.
You know what? It's probably because she's wearing... She doesn't wear pink and green and yellow and stuff.
But she is so elegant.
Yeah.
And it is a different to Emma that, yeah, Jane Fairfax is so elegant, and I get that. And she is beautiful, but because she's so reserved, you almost don't notice it. Anyway.
I think she was quite well cast, actually.
Yeah. Because Mr Woodhouse is so into the girls' project. Emma reads him the charade. Also because he likes to hear nice things said about women, which is just I'm kind of infantilizing him. The way that Emma reads it to him, how he liked everything read, slowly and distinctly and 2 or 3 times over, with explanations of every part. That is like treating him like a child, and it sounds fucking tedious.
It just makes me think of like having to do like reading comprehension when I was in school. Having to be like, okay, no, so we're going over this. Okay, do you understand what that means? And having to like do your little, like read something and then do the worksheet next to it of like, what is this thing? That's just how this sentence makes me think of. Like, you know, that's what it makes me think of. I appreciate that she puts in that effort to do that for her father.
It
like,
shows she really cares. She's smart.
Mm-hmm.
She's super smart, and he cannot reach her there.
Maybe this is quite a complicated charade for the time in general.
And it's just that Emma's super smart. And it's just
that Emma is really smart and is able to pick it up herself. Like, everybody else might need a bit of help to kind of understand the meaning, but she just totally gets it. That's potentially another thing, is maybe it's not that everyone else is dumb. It's just that she's really smart. Or maybe it's both.
Maybe it's both. We hear that the Knightleys are coming to visit. So Emma's sister and brother-in-law and their kids, they haven't been for over a year because they went to the seaside. And they're not even going to see Mr Knightley, their brother. They're only going to stay at Hartfield. And Mr Woodhouse is like, being a lawyer, so inconvenient. Like, how dare Mr John Knightley? Like, spoken by a man who's never had to work a day in his life.
Like, how dare he have this very well respectable paying job to look after my daughter with?
He's a younger son. Yeah. Mr Knightley has inherited Donwell. Mr John Knightley will not inherit Donwell. They are living off whatever they have from Isabella's dowry. They may not actually get her dowry till after Mr Woodhouse dies.
How many kids have they got again? What?
It's never actually clearly said. They've got at least 3. Because they've got Emma, Henry and John. Emma's a baby. But they always talk about the eldest or the 2 eldest, which makes you think that there's more in there somewhere. It's a little unclear.
A lot of kids. So many mouths to feed in this time. Well, at least a lot of poorer families did seem to have a lot of kids. And also, there was no contraception of any kind.
That's why people had separate bedrooms.
Yeah. No hanky-panky in this. It shows how much this family cares about Mr Woodhouse.
Yeah.
And Mr Knightley specifically is willing to forego spending more time with his brother and his nieces and nephews, so that Mr Woodhouse can become more comfortable.
Although, to be fair, it's not Mr Knightley at their house all the time anyway.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I was like, he's probably going to see them as much as he would have anyway.
Because he's always there.
Always there. I mean, I don't actually know what the distance is between these 2 houses, how long it takes to go between one and the other.
No, we're never told how far it is.
Yeah, Mr Knightley is always at Hartfield, and yet we don't know the distance between the 2, so it could be like like he's walking like 30 minutes a day or something to get there, or it could just be a 10-minute trip across the field or whatever. It could be partially that infantilizing Mr. Woodhouse of being like, oh, he needs to be like pampered and looked after, we've got to take care of the old man baby, and you know, he has to get what he wants, and he wants his daughter close by. But also it is kind of practical in a way, because Mr. Woodhouse is getting on in years.
Yeah.
It's much harder for him to get out of the house than it would be for Mr. Knightley to go and visit. So it makes sense for the Knightleys to go and stay at Hartfield instead of at Donmel. John has great love and respect for him as well, with the fact that he's also willing to not go to his family home when it's their turn to go to Donmel. My wife wants to go home and her father wants us to go home, so we'll go to their home instead.
Mm-hmm. Isabella really loves her husband as well, because she will go home with him. She could stay and spend more time with her father, but she chooses not to because she wants to be with her husband. Emma sees this with her father being upset that Isabella's in love with her husband and wants to be with him.
Yeah, it's a very Mr. Woodhouse thing to be kind of upset that people are in love and happy because he does it with the Westons. It's so inconvenient for these people to love each other and be together, because then they're not with me and I'm inconvenienced. Does he hate love?
That gentle selfishness keeps coming back around.
It really does.
Because he does want people to be happy, and he wouldn't specifically say you can't do these things, but everybody just runs around to make him happy.
He's been catered to, at least as long as Emma's been alive. But like, how much has been catered to his whole life? You know, was he an only child who was the only one to inherit? So maybe he had like all of the attention and people constantly at his beck and call. Or
we hear nothing about aunts or cousins, so potentially.
Exactly, we don't know very much about his upbringing at all. So maybe he was the only child who had to get catered to, and thus got all this attention, and thus has grown up, has spent his entire life having everybody at his beck and call. Being raised to...
You're the centre of the universe.
Unintentionally being raised selfishly, to be selfish, because there's nobody else to have to think about. There's nobody else to cater for. There's only you.
It's also mentioned in this chapter that they have dinner at 4:00, and that's when they normally have dinner. And partly that will be country hours, but also partly Mr. Woodhouse being an old man and wanting to eat dinner early, because that's what people do.
Yeah.
It's a thing. They have seniors discounts at an earlier time because when they know that they're going to come in early and
go to bed early. What time does Mr. Woodhouse go to bed?
I don't know, because he also likes evening parties. So it's a bit confusing, but he does go to sleep in his chair. You wouldn't have to worry about candles at 4:00.
No.
Probably even in winter.
Yeah.
It's smart.
In winter, I think especially, you'd be having probably heavier meals to keep you warm. It takes longer to digest. And also, if they're having these evening parties, if they have dinner early, the evening parties would probably have smaller meal kind of things. Like, you know, maybe if not a light kind of supper or something, or maybe just, you know, little snacks, nibbles, stuff like that, you know.
I love nibbles.
To just, you know, tide over your guests, but not with the expectation of a full supper, like a full meal. That would make sense. But also these evening, because the evening parties are being discussed, it's like, well, actually, are these evening parties starting with a 4 p.m. dinner and then going into the early evening? And like, how late do these parties go? Maybe they're only going until like 9:00.
Dinner is separate from an evening party. So you could have dinner and then have the evening party where everyone comes around, and you see stuff like when they go to the Coles and that, like some of them go for dinner and then more people turn up for the evening party. So it's like two separate things, and it could have all the same people, or more people could turn up in the evening.
It sounds like so much effort.
I know.
Like the two of us are just like, just come over for dinner and then get out of my house, you know? Like, I don't want to have dinner and then have more people come over after that. At the end of the chapter, where after the whole Emma telling Mr. Elton that he doesn't have to stay and go and hang out with your friend, and the first line of that thing, after the speech, he was gone as soon as possible. And I'm like, that's a man running away from a rejection, you know, just, I'd be doing the, oh yeah, thanks, and then run away to probably cry or something like that. And I'm like,
you can do it at the end of the meeting, right? Like,
yeah. Just
as I'm walking out the door, you into me? No? Okay. Bye!
Yeah.
Run. Cry.
Go home, lick wounds. the next line, Emma could not think it too soon. For with all his good and agreeable qualities, there was a sort of parade in his speeches, which was very apt to incline her to laugh. She just finds him ridiculous. She just has such little regard for him.
He's sounding more and more like Mr. Collins, like this parade of speeches. Here's the...
Like seeing himself talk.
And the fancy language I feel I should use to propose.
He comes up with all these little airs and graces, not to seem, to compliment the ladies. And that line also makes me think, what if you think him almost laughable? Why are you trying to set him up with your best friend?
Because they're both pretty. He's the pretty boy. She's the pretty girl. They should
Can I make it any more obvious?
And have pretty babies.
Yeah.
And neither of them are that smart, so it's okay.
God, so harsh. So harsh. This is what natural selection should be getting rid of. It's the dumb stuff. But you do, I guess natural selection wants to keep pretty people too.
And that's our discussion of Chapter 9 of Emma. I'm Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwer. Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.
Bye.
Oh no, wait, is infantilizing when you kill somebody?
No, infantilizing is when you think someone's treat them like they're younger.
Okay, baby. Cool. So I did use that correctly. I'll cut that out so I sound smarter.
Infanticide is when you kill a child.
That's right. It's very close.
Yeah. You always want to think if it's got the side, like CIDE, then it's some kind of murder. Homicide, patricide, matricide. Fratricide. Sororicide, like that.
Sibling?
That's sister.
Sister.
So because fratricide is brother from fraternity, and sororicide is sister, like sorority. Although fratricide is often used for just siblings in general. I, for some reason, went on a Google, Wikipedia thing on the origin of different murder terms. It's like suicide, sue it, for yourself, self.
See, I think it's a perfectly natural thing to do.
Yeah.
I think about murder a lot.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. And I'm just the origin of words, also something I look up quite frequently.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Anyway.